Okay, welcome to Stampscaping 101. Sometimes the exercise that I like to do is to do a scene or to come up with a certain composition. It might be a media test or something like that where I'm trying some new medium, whatever. And I think a good exercise would be to do the same basic composition, but to do it slightly different. You can use the same media, but you can change the scene around. I can change this from a daytime type of scene to a nighttime type of scene. Or, if you want to go really dramatic, what you do is you just change the very surface that you're using to something, a little bit different or quite different, so you can do a little comparison contrast type of, I don't know, experiment. This is a scene that was done on Star Dream, which is kind of a pearlescent type of a metallic surface like that. This one right here is more of a gold foil, okay? And if you try anything on this type of paper, I would really recommend doing one of two things, either using the Brilliance inks, which can dry on a non-porous surface, or you can try something like a StazOn, inks that are known to dry on non-porous surfaces, okay? Regular types of pigment inks will not dry on this paper. These will dry, but they'll dry very slowly. It might even take up to a week to dry. This is an example of the Brilliance inks done on this type of surface right here, and these are perfectly well set, but it does take a little bit of time. So just keep that in mind, okay? But, alright, so that being said, one of the things that I feel that I'm going to have to do in terms of a process, because these are, relatively slow drying on this, is I feel that I'm going to have to lay down any type of ink applications that I want to do ahead of time, so that all I have to do afterwards is to stamp out the images, okay? If I stamp out the images and try to lay in things like this white pigment ink over the top of the images, we're just going to smear the images by laying down ink right over the top of them, okay? Because they're still going to be sopping wet. All right, so let's see how this kind of plays out here. This is a little bit of a different type of technique for me, kind of laying down everything first without, too much of a visual reference of, where I'm going. But one of the things about this technique here is it doesn't really have to be super specific in terms of your ink applications. I do have my model to go by here in this case because I've stamped this one before, but even if I didn't have that, I can just kind of lay down some lighter tones and kind of generalities, not really having to go too specific and just stamping the images over the top of them. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now what I mean by that is, let's say I wanted, the rooftop of this covered bridge to be kind of lighter. If I just kind of generally know that, the area that it's going into, I can lay down some of this white pigment ink, okay? And when I'm doing this on this surface, on this metallic surface like this mirrored surface, it really does feel like I'm laying down ink like over the top of a mirror or something like that. It is kind of weird when doing this. It feels a little bit, it feels quite different if I'm doing this on a surface that's much more porous. I can lay down, a really definitive type of little mark like that. All right. But on this, when you're laying it down, you're almost kind of removing some ink in a way, because it is just so slick and non-porous. So if I don't like that, I can just kind of wipe it off, okay? You normally can't do that with Brilliance ink because it just dries and sets up just so fast, okay? Right now on this scene right here, there's a little bit of a road, or there is a road with this covered bridge stamp that I'm going to be using in here. So see, you can see how kind of blotchy it is. There I am in the reflection, but see, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? In theory, I don't know how this is going to come out, but we'll see. Okay, now one of the things about these light rays, I do like how these light rays kind of go in front of the imagery, so you get that real kind of three-dimensional dimension. I'm not going to be able to do that in this one because I'm not going to be able to go over the top of that tree. I'm going to be stamping the trees over that. But, you know, if it comes out at all, I'll just kind of, you know, consider it a win, you know. Because I never know how these are going to come out. It could cover it up and, you know, you really can't see anything that's happened. That wouldn't be so good. But, you know, at least we'll know if it works or not. Okay, I think I didn't leave room for my quote here. I don't know if it's going to show up, so check this out. Because this is non-porous and things don't dry so fast, right? Let's go in here, see that right there? And let's just kind of wipe it off like this. What else can you do that with, you know, in stamping? There's not too much. I can get done with this whole scene and wipe it off if I don't like it. But look at that. All right. So the thing that makes this kind of harder to work with in one way also makes it, you know, I don't know, it's like the most forgiving media that you'll ever use in stamping or crafting, right? And this is a fast-drying ink, too. Brilliance. Now, you can't wipe this off if we're doing it on, like, matte paper or something like that. You know, the Brilliance ink is going to dry, like, instantly. But on something like this, you know, that's the other side of it. Something that's super malleable, hard to dry. It's also, on the other side, it's super forgiving. Alright, so I'm just laying down some clouds in here. Like so. Okay. Kind of, you might notice how I'm kind of moving my mask here. Isn't this the most kind of economical mask you've ever seen, too? You don't have to wait around for media, you know, to try things, okay? Most things, now, I mean, there are specific things. I mean, you can't, you know, just kind of develop a, you know, Cricut machine or something like that, you know. But as far as, like, a lot of the tools in stamping, templates, things like that, tapes, whatever, glues, if I'm gluing down things with some that, you know, some people might ask, what glue are you using, you know? And, you know, I don't know, certain things might work better than others, but play around with things, develop your own types of things if you don't have it, you know? It's the spirit of creation, you know? And when you get into that spirit, what you'll find is you'll find all kinds of different solutions the more you do it. Quite often with just kind of household items, okay? Laying down some sunbeams here. As I've mentioned in the previous video, kind of make them a little bit more uneven. I find that kind of looks a little bit more natural sometimes, so you can kind of make the beam a little bit stronger here, you know, or you can make it completely absent in another area. Just kind of play around with it, okay? Now I'm just kind of I'm aiming this all in one general area. Sometimes I actually draw a little point to, you know, have the beams emanating from, okay? I just think that in this case, the beams are, you know, they're going to kind of be obscured by stamping everything over the top of it, as opposed to having the beams, front and center. They might be a little bit more, I don't know, kind of subdued, and I wouldn't say a secondary element, but they'll definitely be, I don't know, hidden to some degree. Okay, now the quote is going to be over here, so let's go with this. I don't know, maybe I should have done a point of emanation. My beams are a little bit skewed as far as the vanishing point goes. I'll try to improve that a little bit. Skewed in terms of it, it looks like multiple light sources as opposed to one. Okay, see that right there? There we go. All right, so see that, I don't know, it looks like a bunch of spotlights, or, as opposed to one sun. So let me just try to lighten that whole area up, okay, and combine them a little bit more. I usually do this anyways. What I do is I add in the beams, and then I kind of mellow things out and blend the beams in a little bit more. Okay, so it's like one big. I don't know, kind of break in the clouds or something like that. Okay. Now this doesn't look like anything right now. Look at that. There seems some blotches right there. Okay. But it's just kind of a, or is, not kind of a, it's just kind of a varied background for my main imagery to come. Okay. I'm not really worried about it. We're going to have tree branches over the front of it. Things like that going on. What we do in the background, I mean, it matters. It just doesn't matter quite as much as you might think, usually. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might stamp all my imagery over the top of it, and it doesn't work at all, but usually it kind of works out fine. Okay, so here's the general thing. So covered ridges right here, road coming down here, trees right here, overhanging branches, quote right here. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. All right, keep your cotton ball. We might need that later, or just in another scene. All right, now, you know what? I haven't stamped black brilliance over the top of gold before. I don't think. I was thinking about just going with gold and white. I really like that combination on here, but let's use black in here. All right, let's try something new, right? If I don't like it, I can just wipe this off. If I don't like it, you're probably not going to see the video, but because I want to use this paper again, and I'm not going to wipe it all off and keep it in the same video, but let's see how this goes here. Brilliance fast drying inks. I'm never quite sure if this is inked up enough. I guess I could do a test print, right? Yeah, it's a little bit dry. All right, pausing video to ink up my pad. It seems like I need to ink up that pad every time, practically. All right. This ink is so thick now. Um, you know, pigment inks. I almost think I added too much ink, but we'll see how this goes. What I'll do is I'm kind of wiping it across like this. I don't want to fill in the detail though. Maybe I did fill in some of the detail. I'm not quite sure. Let's see how it goes. Boy, I'm going to have to really be careful about touching this impression. It's going to be, not only is it kind of a wet ink on here, but it's going to be sopping wet over wet ink. Okay. All right, let's see. This went up about like so, I'm guessing. Here, maybe? All right, it's one of those things that does get a little bit tricky. Maybe not with so much with a big image like this. It has kind of enough support in all directions, but sometimes when you're stamping with such a thick, slick ink like this, it's almost like paint, and then you have a foundation that already has some imagery on it, or ink on it. It's like you're sandwiching wet on wet, and you might lay it down and it could slide on you a little bit, and then smear the impressions. So I have a lot of impressions to go on this, so I'm going to have to be really careful about that. I mean, it's not super precarious, but it's just when you're sandwiching them together, just kind of watch that moment right there, because you don't want it to go like this and to go like that. Okay. Not too bad looking. I think I don't know if it's my first black impression on gold, but okay, let's see that light beam right there? It does still read though, doesn't it, like that? It's kind of interesting, like that. Okay. Huh. Alright, let's follow it up with some more impressions, okay? Let's go with some foreground trees. Okay, being careful. The worst thing to do, what I do in some of my videos is I do exactly what I tell people not to do kind of the minute before. So being mindful about when I lay that impression down, okay? If it was an isolated image out here or something like that, I can just kind of wipe it off, but when I'm overlapping, my other imagery in here, I just need to be careful about that. Okay. Come up like about here. Oh! I think I did feel that one move on me a little bit. This paper is a little bit bowed. Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of a resist right there for some reason, right on that part of the stamp. There might be something on there. I'm not sure. Okay. Now see, when I'm touching this part right here, I'm removing some of that white ink, so I need to be careful about that. Yeah, I feel this kind of micro kind of movement when I'm laying that down, so. Okay, there we go. It didn't smear, though. Alright. Being careful not to move that. Now, some people are reporting exactly what I've run into with doing these types of scenes. Is these are some of the most kind of dynamic looking in terms of the finished results pieces, but they are really hard to photograph kind of in a two-dimensional or a still shot photo, because there's all these reflections going on So I say, well, you can always just do kind of a video if you're going to post it on like social media, like Facebook or something like that. Just take a photograph and just kind of move it like that, so people can get the gist of it. Otherwise, going like that, and like I have my face in it or something like that. But these are really fun. These are really fun. It's a really fun surface, kind of in person, as you're working on these. Okay, this is the tiny rocks here. I put some tiny rocks just about everywhere, like so. Okay, so it just kind of fills in as far as the little texture goes. Okay, let's see. Do I still have my quotes? Yes, I do. I still have my quote stamp out. I haven't put my stamps away from several days ago. I've been so busy doing, I don't know, this and that lately. I gotta get back to my stamping. But mostly my experimenting so much with stamps that and media that I almost kind of forget. It's like what worked and what didn't work, because if I've only tried something once, then I don't necessarily remember it. What combinations worked really well. If I don't do it for, I don't know, a week or two. Okay, so this is a quote stamp off of Scenic Sentiments, I think 3? I don't remember. Okay, everybody, boy, that really, I love quote stamping out on this mirrored surface. They come out just beautiful. Text does. Look how clear that is. I mean, like typography and whatnot, when it comes to communication and clarity. Sorry about having my face in the photo right here, but I don't know, the more sealed off a paper is, a surface is, the cleaner the impression it is. So, I mean, that matters in terms of imagery, but I really love the way quotes stamp out like that, just in terms of clarity and font and whatever. I spent ages working on the tracking and spacing in between every little letter in all of my Scenic Sentiment quote sheets, even the spacing in between. I almost touched that in between every little letter in here. I had my lettering and typography instructor was the head of the graphic arts department at Long Beach State, and he was known for, being probably one of the toughest teachers. And, you had to get every, not millimeter, I'm talking like micromillimeter of spacing down in terms of your fonts. I never worked so hard in the class. It wasn't even my main subject matter, which was illustrations, but it was the most tasking class I ever took, was that design, lettering, and typography. It's because it's kind of the foundation for a lot of, what you do in graphic design, so. Anyway, a little aside there. Okay, this is a leaf branch called Leaves, and I'm going to do it in gold and in black. In this case right here, I did it in black, but I also stamped it off, and I did it in a lighter black. That works on this kind of porous paper. I don't think it's going to work on here. So I think I just need to stamp it in a different color. Okay. All right. Is that? Okay. I need to re-ink everything. I don't know why these Brilliance pads, it seems like they're drying out faster right now than before. Okay. Let me see if I can find. All right. I hope I don't have to re-ink my pads every time I use them. I guess I will if that's the price I have to, pay. But my preference is to not have to do that every time. I don't seem to recall having to do that before. I don't know. Okay, so let's give this a try here. Okay. Ooh, boy, that is really thick. Yeah, that sounds too thick there. It'll be kind of a sub impression though. So I'll put another impression of black over the top of it. Let's do this though. Let's give one impression first just to remove some of that ink. It's just too much. We'll come in with that second one like that. That looks pretty good. We just want it really subtle because the black one will be, in the foreground. Let's try something here. Just ran my finger through that. Let me try this. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're experimenting here. So let me try a little bit of this gold in front of some of these trees here. Okay. Let's see if it'll stamp out over the top of them. No, it didn't. It just stamped and lifted right off the top. Barely, I don't know, it's more smudgy looking right there. Okay? So you can't do that. Or at least I can't. Don't let any of my kind of things and whatever discourage you from trying it. Like, you might try something. You might, I don't know. You might dry this off first and then stamp over and it might show up, So, I don't know. Tweak the technique a little bit. And see what you can find. Okay, so there's my sub-impressions right there. They don't really show up too much at all. Look at those clouds in the background. They're still, they look pretty decent, I think, still. All right, let's get back to that black Brilliance pad. I'm just cleaning this off like this, for right now. Okay. Graphite black. Let's give it a test here. I might pollute it a little bit with some of this gold, but so be it. Okay. It's kind of interesting. It has a little bit of a gold surrounding on that. Okay, so I want this a little bit offset from my other impressions, okay? I want it to go right over the top of it, and I need to be really careful with this one because I'm stamping on an even thicker surface now with, being that gold is down there, not just kind of a thin application of the white pigment ink like these black images were over. Definitely more of a much stronger reflective type of quality here, but just a kind of a different spirit. I'll try to add in some additional flourishes in here to kind of lighten up this heavy, heavy dark black, okay? And we'll try some of the, the Dr. Martens bleed-proof white, I think. Okay, just making sure that I don't stamp over my quote. We don't want to obscure the quote unless it was like a gigantic word stamp where, covering up a little bit, you'll still be able to kind of read it. But on something like this, that's not going to be the case, okay? All right, so I think those sunbeams, are working okay. But look at all that light coming through there. Doesn't that look, heavenly type of, thing, feeling? But here's the thing that's, and I think this looks, pretty good as is. But I'll tell you what the issue is for me in this one right here, um, as it stands right now. And that is, there is so much of a bright reflective quality in here, okay? Just from the use of the mirrored paper. But we have this light in here, but things aren't, there isn't as strong of a dialogue between that light right there and the objects down here. So I'll show you just an easy way to remedy that, and that's through the use of little, what they call specular light, okay? And that's light that's brighter than white. I don't know if that's just what it's referred to, if it's referred to that in photography. I don't know if that's a photography term or just a light term. But I learned it in photography classes. Okay, I've got to get some of this out. Here it is. It's so sloppy wet. Okay, so light that's brighter than white. Okay, a Miaosun acrylic paint pen. It's 0.7 millimeter. I think it's the same one that's in my Artistro 42 paint pen set. And I say that because the construction of it looks pretty much the same, except that, this one that's a clear barrel, and this one's I don't know if it's a clear barrel or not. They got the sticker over the top of it. See, these caps are the same, like that. And the bottom of it's the exact same. That tells me this stuff's coming out of the same factory, or just the barrels are. But why would that be? I think it's the entire pen, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But that's what I suspect. It's not like they're coming out of different countries. Okay, so normally I can just kind of start adding some highlights on here, but this is really wet still. I mean, we're talking like sopping wet, okay? I don't know if you can tell. But I'm going to do my best. And this is a large scene, so I'm going to have to come over the top of that without laying my hand in here. I don't know. I'll do what I can. All right, let's see. All right, now this white paint pen, this will be the fastest drying thing on this surface right here. So, all right, let's see. I'm gonna find an access point where I can kind of hold this down. How about like that? Okay, and I'm just putting little dots like that. On my trees. It's like on the top surfaces of something, okay? If the light is coming from a certain direction, okay? Light is coming from here, so like on the bottom sides of these leaves, I might put, little highlights like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact or anything like that. It's not gonna be wrong if you put a dot. Oh my gosh, I put a dot on the top of the leaf. Is that going to matter? Not at all. But just in general, I try to reiterate kind of lighting direction. Okay, see that? Doesn't that bring that area to life? And look at it. At arm's distance, it's not like something that stands out so much, but you come in like that, and look how lively all these little things are. Okay, so light's coming from here. So on the side of this tree, on the left-hand side, let's create a little bit of a dialogue between light source and reflected light like this. See this right here? You're creating visual dialogue in your pieces, okay? And it could be with lighting. It could be a narrative type of thing where, you have something looking at something else. There's all kinds of things like that. I'm sure there's like colored dialogue, all kinds of different opportunities. This one is, again, it's light source and reflected light. It's reflecting it back to it. They're like speaking to each other in a visual way. Okay? Where's the light right here in relation to these branches? Well, they're coming on the top of it. Now I've flipped this upside down so I can have access to that. So, flip your things around. It's really important to kind of turn things in the direction that suits your application of media. Okay, I know some of you, you use platforms and things like that, which are great, but, turn your platform around too. Okay? Just turn the whole thing around, if you can. Okay, see I'm putting some of this on some of the tops of some of these branches right here. Okay. I think this does more than just, create visual dialogue. It kind of brings the area to life, don't you think? Look at that. And this is what it looks like at arm's length. This is what we're looking at right here. But see those little highlights like that? Isn't it kind of really sparkly and kind of, I don't know, fun? It looks real weird like that, doesn't it? But that you won't look at it kind of so close up like that. We're looking at it more like this. Okay, here's some rocks down here. Okay. Remember what you're looking at is has much more contrast too. See if I go like this, that looks quite a bit different. Look how dark that is. It stands out like that, but this is more of the lighting right here, Okay, my little kind of horrific leaf impression down here, I'm just kind of covering some of it up, with some additional dots, and I put another branch there. Okay, and let's see here. I notice my pen here is taking in some of that black ink because I'm drawing on there, so it's going back up. And so just kind of get it flowing again when that happens. Okay. Let's put a little highlight on some of these tree trunks here. Gosh, I can't get over it right. Okay, so see that one I did right here? I put those little tree trunk highlights in there. Oh, let me see if I can. Tough to get in here. Little highlights on the top of the water covered bridge. All right, it's getting pretty, I don't know, pretty shimmery in here. I think that's enough. I mean, I could have done even less than that, but I don't know. Why quit if you're having so much fun? All right, so Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, an opaque watercolor paint. Okay, very fast drying. Let's see, I need a little bit of water in here. Need to fill up my water bottle. Okay. And you reconstitute the paint a little bit, get it, the right thickness or whatever, thinness, whatever. Okay. You want it kind of like consistency of some, good syrup, maybe. It could be a little bit thinner. All right, and my old toothbrush. Take some of it in. I don't know, that might be too thin. I don't know. I might have made it too thin. But I think it'll yield kind of a smaller, dot pattern, which will be fine. I don't know. I just want to make sure that I don't leave a big blob of paint on. So, okay, so see, I'm kind of really trying to get a lot of that paint out of my brush. So I want it in there, but fully spread in the brush, mostly in the front half, but I don't want to put this over the top of this and start spraying, and it creates a big blob in here. So, okay, so I'm going to kind of spray this upright just so I don't have this over the top of my page. Okay. All right, here we go. I'll try to keep this. Oh, I know. Too, I need to cover up my quote here. So let me get that area too. So I do need to kind of have it down like this. Okay. I'll have this kind of off page here. Let's see. Yeah, it's a fair. Oops. Did you see that? A couple really big globs. Not globs, but I don't know, dots. Okay. The reason why I don't want to go over the quote here, because we don't want to give like a bunch of things, a bunch of different, additional dots on top of eyes or something like that, because a dot does mean something in, lettering. So, okay, here we go. Now, what this is, I don't know. It's like dust, or I don't know. It's from a design standpoint, it's just kind of just additional texture, and I mean it is lighting because it's white. Could be the reflected light of little blossoms in the wind, apple blossoms, whatever. Some kind of nut, maybe tree. I got a big blob there. Surprised about that. Alright, I think that's enough. In fact, it might be almost like too crazy. But from a textural standpoint, it's pretty cool, I think. I don't know, I think I probably should have done a little bit less where it was kind of a fine mist. But let's take a look at this here. All right, so that's kind of more at arm's distance and, the look of it, but let's take a look in here and see it. I really like that background sky and the clouds up there. Like I said, it was kind of a sloppy applied background cloud and lighting scheme. See, this is kind of what you would see normally, okay, just on that mirrored surface, okay, like this, all right? But you can see where I've used some of that white pigment ink underneath my bridge and all throughout there. You can tell where it's kind of applied over here and not right here, okay? But, when you stamp your imagery over the top of it, it doesn't matter. It was, there was different applications done in here. There was some white right here and less right here, a little bit more over here. Here we see that light beam. So, you can really see the differences here. Where the white paint, or white pigment ink has been applied in the background, it reflects less light. See, like that? So, I don't know. It's really fun to kind of work on a surface like that. It's a little bit kind of precarious, but I smeared a couple things here and there. Some things didn't print out, but I don't think it really matters in the end result. When you get something done like this, it just doesn't matter. Little things here and there, even some kind of a little bit more significant things, they just kind of all blend in with the background. No big deal. Okay, so let's take a look here. Kind of my more mellow one, right? Like that. And the mirrored one. quite a different experience, though, isn't it? You know, in terms of the end results. So, all right. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the scene. I hope you enjoyed the, I don't know, kind of the experiment and process. And I don't know if you ever play around with foils. You know, experiment with all kinds of different things. Emboss on it. I don't know. Lay some things down early on when you're playing around with things. Lay some things down. Just kind of wipe it off and kind of get a feel for the surface and how the inks can potentially react to it, and how if you get certain things that you like or don't like here and there, you'll have a kind of a good idea of how to react to it and how to remedy it. In my case, it was just wiping something off again, starting over, or just kind of covering it up here and there, and I don't know, just going on. I don't know, some of those gold impressions back there, you know what I mean? They probably weren't needed. Maybe I should have done them in white instead or something like that, because the white really stands out nicely. But I don't know, all kinds of different things. And if I were to do this scene again with this exact same media here, who knows, I would probably get a different result with all the different variables that happen. I have to kind of counter bow this like that to get it to go flat again. But this scene like this, the one good thing about these, from what I can tell, is that this is what it looks like when it's really wet and juicy, but when these things dry, I don't know. I think it pretty much looks, I don't know, pretty much the same. So you have a pretty good idea of how your finished piece will look when it's wet on the page, as far as I can tell. Okay? All right, so anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, drop me a note in the comments section, or if you have any comments.